meantime, let's revisit a conversation that we thought died. Remember when they was lying to us? Remember when they tried to gaslight us and say, you know what? Ain't no migrants taking over no apartments. Ain't nothing happening over here. Well, you know that a few weeks ago, I already reported that some of those very migrants that was shown in that video was arrested in New York doing other crimes. Remember how they was telling y'all that gangs is not really taking over in Colorado, in Denver, in Aurora? Well, guess what? They're still doing what they do. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. It's Rock.
Shocking story out of Aurora, Colorado, as police investigate what they call an evil and vicious kidnapping at an apartment complex. Yes, that apartment complex that has been terrorized by members of the violent Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua. Police are not confirming if the suspects are part of that gang, but they say they are believed to be undocumented Venezuelans accused of tying up and beating two people last night, stabbing one of them and robbing the home. Senior correspondent Alicia Acuna has the whole story for us as she reports live from Denver. Hi, Alicia.
Hi, Martha. The Aurora police chief says that the two victims, who are a man and a woman, are also Venezuelan migrants. And he says they were brave to call 911. The details of this crime are just horrific. Police detained up to 15 suspects believed to be Venezuelan migrants as well, who they say broke into an apartment, took the victims to another unit where they were bound, pistol whipped, and the male was stabbed. They were terrorized for more than 4 hours before the victims promised not to call police if released, and they were. And the victims did call authorities. Today, the police chief had strong words for the White House.
I had a discussion with an individual from the White House, and that occurred back on September the 23rd, I believe. And that person basically told me that, hey, once these immigrants get across the border, that's all we really care about.
Oh, now we want to have the conversation. Oh, wait a minute. Election is over, so we're going to let out the information. We're going to start having honest conversations because it's not like they're going to get back into the White House anyway. So let's just have some real conversations. People at the White House told them, listen, once they all get over the border, that's all we really care about. He's telling you directly now because back then they were silencing them and they was telling them that they not really eating dogs. They not terrorizing nothing. Ain't nothing popping off. Springfield, Aurora, all of these places. Listen, y'all, they capping. They lying. They exaggerating the situation. He's saying that before the election even happened, remember when they were standing outside this apartment building and the mayor of Aurora was sitting there saying, you know what, it's not really even that big of a deal and this is not happening. And the mayor of Denver, Mike Johnson, was saying, you know, that's not happening over here either. He said he called the White House and the White House said what?
And that occurred back on September the 23rd, I believe. And that person basically told me that, hey, once these immigrants get across the border, that's all we really care about. And to me, that's a problem. And so, Aurora, we are now in the process, as many other cities throughout this nation, of trying to pick up the pieces of an incredibly bad system that was in place.
This is the same complex, as you mentioned, Martha, where that Ring camera captured armed TDA members. The chief says there's no question last night's attack was committed by gang members, but can't yet confirm that these are TDA. Today, the Aurora City Councilwoman who sounded the alarm on this issue had this to say.
I'm tired of this situation being downplayed. I am tired of this being portrayed as just another gang in Aurora.
Y'all do know that Colorado was also a blue state too, right? We going blue state. Blue state, blue state, blue state. We going Chicago, Illinois. We going to go Aurora, Denver, Colorado, and we going to go New York right after this.
Aurora. This is actual human suffering of the most vulnerable community, the ones who would otherwise be afraid to call 911.
And Martha, those two victims are still in the hospital. Martha.
Let's take a little bit more deeper coverage to better understand exactly what they were hiding from us. Because they were saying that we was crazy and we didn't know what we didn't know.
And we are tracking breaking news this morning. 14 people detained at the edge of Lowry Apartments in Aurora early this morning. So that complex, of course, drawing national attention in recent months. Thanks for being here at 8 o'clock. I'm Andrea Henderson.
Hey guys, I'm Kirk Yonke. Police responding to reports of a home invasion, a stabbing, and a potential kidnapping. So let's get over to Fox 31's Courtney Fromm. She's out there live at the scene. I know, Courtney, you've been trying to talk with police, get some more information. Obviously, you can see the scene as it develops behind you, and quite the response. Do we know why a SWAT vehicle is there?
Yeah, good morning to you both. We are still working to get all those details. I have been in contact with Aurora Police, specifically on why the SWAT vehicle is here, and then on top of all of that, to see if there's any sort of connection potentially to the Venezuelan gang situation that we've been talking about over the last few months. It has made the national spotlight as well, but you can see this scene still here. The edge at Lowry Apartments, really, really busy. Several Aurora police cars, that SWAT vehicle right off there in the distance. We saw ATF, that's alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. They're also on scene, and it looks like Aurora Police's command unit as well. Now, just a few minutes ago, when we checked in with you guys, the fire department was here and an ambulance was also on scene. They have since left, but they still have that portion of the road blocked off. That's here on Dallas between 12th and 13th. But let me give you guys a little breakdown of what's going on, what we know so far from APD. They say 14 people have been detained after officers responded to a report of a home invasion with weapons right here at the edge at Lowry Apartments. This all happening just before 2:30 this morning. Aurora PD says an armed home invasion involving a stabbing and a kidnapping, that all unfolding here. Now, early into the investigation, it suggests several suspects entered an apartment occupied by two people. The suspects then moved the victims to another property within the building where they were threatened and bound. So definitely some scary stuff here. Now, an adult man we do know has non-life-threatening injuries following a stab wound during the situation. And then later into the morning, the suspects actually released the victims. And from there, they were able to call 911. But 14 people detained and currently being questioned by investigators, but clearly a really, really large scene here. And like I said, I have been talking to APD. They are expecting to come out here in the next few hours or so and potentially give us an interview or talk to us and give us some more information that's going on. What are you saying, Anthony?
For the guy in that car.
Okay, and it looks like, according to my photographer who's able to zoom in, I'm not able to see as far down as him. They just put somebody in the back of one of the patrol cars right down here. So something we're going to be following. I know Kirk and Andrew, we talked about this just a few minutes ago when we checked in with you guys. We don't know if all 14 people detained were involved in that home invasion or into that apartment and grabbed those victims. We don't know how many people are going to be potentially arrested or charged with all this whole situation, but definitely something we'll be following throughout the morning. But if you're coming in this area, it's kind of interesting that, you know,
look at the windows. Remember when they was, because there was people that was actually traveling to Denver and all of that stuff, and they were saying, you know what, everything is secure. We put a fence around it. Nothing is happening. We good now. Remember all of that? Remember when they said that everything was great and that we all good and the residents are safe now? Ain't a window that's available for you to be able to see out of in those joints. Every single window is boarded up, and I bet you it's still people in there. I bet you it's still being held down. I bet you it's still residents is taking refuge in there. Look at that. That is literally the hood. That is the ghetto. That is the Carter. That is the projects. Ain't nothing happening over there. Ain't nothing positive happening in those areas. And his kids that walk every day up and down those streets in order to get to school.
All these police officers out here, the SWAT vehicle, but then there's families walking their kiddos with backpacks.
It's some of them that still got air conditioners outside. I remember I looked at a guy that was going through it, and he said it was rats and rodents and roaches and all of that. And it had gotten so bad because none of the gang members or none of the migrants would even allow for any maintenance workers or anybody. So they basically just took control of the whole thing. They shut it down just like New Jack City, and they made it their own. They made it their safe haven.
On and trying to get them to school, I imagine. Just a very, very active scene, and we'll keep you guys updated throughout the morning as more information becomes available. But for now, live, Aurora, Courtney from Fox 31.
What is interesting, so we know this all started happening, police first responded around 2:30 this morning. Right. So you think 5.5, 6
Still
hours
taking people
later
into custody.
that they're still taking people in.
Right.
This is clearly a massive operation that they're kind of dealing with right now.
And I wonder if they're still, Courtney, it sounds like maybe trying to still figure out, all right, what happened here?
Yeah.
Who's involved? Who did what? Who's responsible? Et cetera, et cetera. And so many allegations about the Venezuelan gangs at those apartment buildings, and we haven't heard anything about that at this point from police, have we?
You're not going to hear anything from the police, because what I believe is happening is that the authorities and the mayor, not so much the national authorities, but the authorities and the mayor, is saying shh, shh, and for multiple reasons. Number one, mayor don't want to look bad. He want to keep his job. Number two, they don't want to continue to substantiate that they was actually wrong and to confirm what everybody was thinking in the first place. And number three, they are harboring criminals. Every last one of those people should be deported. Oh, no. We got to wait till they commit a crime. Like Eric Adams said. We going to get to Eric Adams. Let's talk about Eric Adams. Give me a second.